No breaks for LAFC. Hello and welcome back. It's episode 108 of LAFC Plus. As always, presented by Hotel Indigo, Los Angeles downtown. He is Mario Ruiz. I'm Dave Denholm. Check out the QR code above my right shoulder if you're watching on YouTube for a promotional rate and a promotional bonus for LAFC fans. Mario Ruiz, good to join you again here for LAFC Plus. Can't believe it's episode 108. Always a pleasure to talk to you, buddy.
And this weekend, as a matter of fact, is a good time to use that QR code right there because it's a home game. So what you do is you go to Hotel Indigo, get the pregame going, hang out there during the daytime, and then the game is at nighttime, 7:30 start. So then you go over to the game, and then after the game, you hopefully celebrate back at Hotel Indigo for sure. But yeah, like you said, it's all gas and no breaks. As the kids say for LAFC, the schedule just keeps on coming, and it's a big one this weekend coming up against Portland for sure.
Yeah, I kind of meant this in a few ways. It is about the schedule. Obviously, very busy in August, like we knew. We're going to be 8 games on the schedule in August, and that included if we didn't move ahead with, League's Cup, if you didn't quite make it out, because, again, most teams don't out of the 18 teams. So 8 games, no matter what, is always going to be busy, so there's no break there. But Wednesday night in Colorado, no breaks went LAFC's way in a 1-0 loss to the Rapids on an own goal. That's the only goal scored in the match. That's what I mean. There was just nothing went right for LAFC in that game, and they were still in it. They didn't catch any breaks along the way, and Colorado really didn't create much, Mario. I thought the defense was solid again. Obviously, an unfortunate own goal. That's going to happen. It's nothing, you can't really, unless it's just egregiously put in your own net almost on purpose, and you really can't blame anybody for an own goal usually. I mean, it just happens, but that's where the breaks come in, right? And when you're struggling, the breaks don't usually go your way. And I think that's part of where LAFC was at the last couple of matches here with 2 straight losses. Offense just couldn't get it going on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes back-to-back losses. Of course, we know that. But I don't think it's a time to overreact for LAFC fans out there. It was 2 very, very narrow losses, right? Both losses were just 1-0. A late, soft PK against San Diego, where LAFC had a lot of chances, and then in Colorado, it was an own goal. We know that. So, I don't think it's any time to panic. And I think that when you play well and you don't get any points, I think it's about the finishing. I think it's about you got to be clinical with the finishing or else you're not going to get rewarded for your effort. So that's the frustrating part, that these have been tight matches, hard-fought games decided by one single goal.
Yeah, I think the problem becomes, though, teams we're playing against are getting rewarded with this, these breaks. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Look, taking nothing away from San Diego nor Colorado, right? They defended well enough to get a shutout. So you're not going to lose if you have a shutout. At worst, you're going to get a 0-0 draw. But I don't think they deserved any more than a 0-0 draw for either team. I think LAFC defensively deserved shutouts in both of those matches. I know the handball against Ryan Porteous, it's a rush of blood to the head. And I mean, again, it's a handball. It's legit. And Anders Dreyer buried the PK. So I'm not taking that away. So, but it's like the defense has not really given up much at all to these teams. And certainly San Diego and Colorado are not the most offensively minded teams in the league in terms of they're not terribly big threats. Don't get me wrong. We should be shutting those teams down, and we did. And the frustrating thing is you don't get any breaks, and when things are starting to go like that, it feels like, oh boy, it's not going your way. Now remember, LAFC was coming off an 8-game unbeaten streak too. It's so funny how this stuff turns so quick in people's minds, right? You didn't lose in your last 8 matches, and then all of a sudden you lose 2 in a row, and the sky is falling. Everybody panicked.
Yeah, the part that really hurts though is that it was 2 losses against 2 Western Conference opponents, and you took 0 points from those 2 matches. So you slip right away. You slip in the standings. Now you're in 3rd place, just 4 points under 1st place, which is not that bad. But Houston right now, if you look at the standings and the matches, I mean, Houston is streaking right now in 1st place. The Dynamo 5 wins in a row, and they haven't conceded a goal in those 5 wins. That's how you climb the table right there. That's a lot of points. So watch out for Houston in the West.
Well, here's the thing about MLS too that people have to remember. Look what happens to Houston when they win 5 in a row, as Mario just highlighted, right? If you're in La Liga and you're in 12th place, let's say, midway through the table, right? Midway through the season, You're not going to catch Barcelona and Real Madrid. You might win 5 in a row and save yourself from relegation and get 15 points from your last 5 matches. Well, so did Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? They both got 15 points from their last 5 matches, unless they played each other. So you're not really in MLS, though. It's so even and so tough and so balanced that 5 wins in a row, like Houston, they're just vaulting up the table. Like you shoot up the table, much like LAFC did, if you recall, mostly with the 8-game unbeaten. I know if 3 of those were in Leagues Cup, but we had 5 games in a row unbeaten, 4 of them wins in MLS. We shot right up the table. So it can be done. You have to really, as much as it pains you, right? You have to turn the page quickly in this league, because not only do you have another game on Saturday, but you really have an opportunity just as easily to, string together wins if you're LAFC. You've got to do that. And you only have LAFC left, right? I mean, it's not early yet anymore. I know. It's later in the season here already. We're well beyond the halfway point. So,
and LAFC gave themselves chances, right, in that game, too. We kind of felt like they had a chance to get some points, get something out of that, because the defense was so solid again. And backup keeper Cabral Carter kept them in the game. Cabral made some big saves, including the PK save, which kept it close. And it felt like LAFC was going to maybe get a goal and come away with the point. Even after conceding the own goal, LAFC kept it composed. They didn't unravel. But yeah, what a night for Cabral Carter. I mean, making his first MLS start, coming from the LAFC Academy, LA kid, LA native. And he showed up. He showed up for his first start, and that was good to see. And the penalty kick just really, I think that changed momentum and gave LAFC some hope.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Now, the one thing about Cabral Carter that is very interesting to me is now it proves without a shadow of a doubt that we have 3 goalkeepers that I have no fear of playing. Like there's no Thomas Hasal, of course, injured right now. So obviously he's not available. That's why Cabral Carter did get the start, because you're giving Hugo Lloris a little bit of rest in Colorado, though Lloris had to be on the bench because of the Hasal injury. But now you have 3 keepers where I have no problem, no questions about any of them, frankly, in terms of how they've looked this year, even. I mean, Hasal's played not a lot, but in Leagues Cup, a little bit in MLS. Carter hasn't had a lot of action, but even after the Wednesday night match against Colorado, he didn't have a ton of saves to make. But frankly, he wasn't responsible for the goal. He frankly deserved a shutout with a couple of the saves he did make. So you've got 3 keepers where, of course, Hugo Lloris is the man, and he's every time he's available, his name goes right under the right under the starting lineup, right under the score sheet, no question. I mean, he's Hugo Lloris. He's having a great season himself. Goals against average under 1. But I have no problem with either one of the other bench, backup goalkeepers playing. And that is amazing to have 3 guys that you have complete confidence in. And Cabral Carter has proved it. I mean, he really has. I know it's 1 game. I get it. He's still got a ways to go in terms of he's got a lot to learn, and he's young and great future. But, yeah, I mean, you do not play like he did in that match with the saves he made. And, again, not tested a ton, but, boy, it could have easily been 2 or 3-0. Based on he had some good saves. Now, the chances Colorado got, they made those chances count. He just was equal to the task.
Yeah, he was up for that game. He had some family in the crowd as well. I saw a picture of him hugging some family. I believe it was his mom and other family members. That was awesome. But yeah, we saw about playing in that high altitude in Colorado and how much of a beast it really is. Because when Sonny and Denis came in the 60th minute, I thought they were going to provide a little bit more chances, more scoring opportunities. But both Sonny and Denis kind of struggled to get it going. Yeah. And it must be really, really difficult to come into a game, especially in the high altitude like that, and try to, be dangerous and get acclimated to the game. But yeah, I mean, at the end of it's still
to the Rapids' credit, you'd hope that you'd catch them a little bit, heavy-legged when Denis and Son come in, roughly 60th minute. Still plenty of time, but you're hoping that maybe it's worn down the Rapids a little bit. But to their credit, they stayed sharp defensively. I mean, they really didn't give LAFC many chances. I got to be honest with you, Mario. I think it's something we saw a little bit more of in the early part of the season, and it actually paid off. Now, I'm not just results-oriented here, but I think LAFC, when you're playing these type of teams, and I think we know where we're going with this, they're going to be facing a lot more bunkering defenses. I mean, that's just the facts. They do, they have, and they will. right? You're just going to see it. I think you have to start firing from longer range a little bit more, just a little bit more to try to loosen things up. Look, most of the time, the vast majority of times you shoot from long range, it's not going to lead to anything, frankly. It's either going to be too high. It's tough when you're talking 25, 26 yards out. I'm not talking about 40-yard bombs or golazos from midfield. I'm talking, around the perimeter where we see LAFC getting a lot of possession at times, especially when trailing. And I think they have the guys to do it. We saw it earlier in the year. They won a game that way with 2 long-range missiles in a match early in the season that, not that they didn't deserve to win, but it was like that was the offense that night, right? I think you have to I know tired legs, tired minds sometimes when you're in Colorado. We know that with the altitude and all that. So maybe you're not thinking like that all the time, but you really have to almost put it into the game plan because of the way teams are going to play you. And yes, you want to try to find Son and Denis in the 18. Of course, you're going to try those passes too. I'm not talking about just shooting all the time from distance by any means, but just occasionally I'd like to see, and again, even from 25 yards, Mario, you don't have to blast it by every guy necessarily to score. You can place a ball here, make a keeper make a great save, see if you get a rebound, whatever. Make them make a diving save, pick out a corner. I'd like to see a little bit more of that just to hopefully soften up some of these defenses.
Yeah, and the defense is playing so well for LAFC, but you just want to see your team get rewarded with the 3 points because it is 2 straight losses when you're performing well defensively. And the standings, they don't care if it's a tight game. The standings don't care if it's a blowout. A loss is a loss in the standings, and LAFC are looking to respond for sure this weekend at home again against Portland. And LAFC, I think they've always been at the top of the table, towards the top of the Western Conference all season long, but right now at this point of the season, it's different because you don't have that margin for errors right now because we're getting closer and closer to that final stretch. And LAFC right now are pretty much jockeying for playoff positioning right now. So every game is huge, like this one coming up Saturday against Portland.
It's a bit more of a gut punch too right now because all the teams seemingly have games in hand on us too. Right, we've played the most games, along with LA Galaxy, I believe, were the 2 teams that have played the most games in MLS. Now, again, it's 1 or 2 matches, but it is still a little bit rougher when you're losing a match, 1-0, 1-0, should have been 0-0. Maybe you could have won the San Diego game in the perfect world or a little bit better world. You played well enough, and then all of a sudden teams still have games in hand on you. That gets like, oh boy, the 13 matches. We have less than 40 points available now for the rest of the way, meaning we only have 39 points we could get. If we win 13 matches in a row, LAFC will only grab another 39 points. Now, that's an insane amount, right? We're not, nobody's going to do that in MLS. This is not a league where top 1 or 2 teams is dominant by any means. There's too much parity. We get that. Like, that's not going to happen. But the point is, you're only 13 games left. You're well past the midway point, as we said. It is refocus time. Now, here's the good news. Yes, this Timbers game is on a short turnaround, no question. We're coming in on Saturday, right after a Wednesday game, after a previous Saturday. But then it's settling down just a bit, for a little bit for LAFC. I know there's a Saturday or a Wednesday game in September, relatively early in the month, but not too crazy early. But then it starts the schedule kind of nicely evens out, even all the way through October and November, right? A little bit lighter. Obviously, you have the international part of that. That's, part of that makes it a little easier. But Mario, there's some opportunities here coming up, right? I know the schedule has been very tough. That's why we said no breaks. It has been tough, like no question. But it's going to get easier in theory on paper, where you're going to get rest. You're going to get more consistency of like Saturday. It's, what does the practice look like? We don't have to travel on Tuesday to go play a Wednesday game somewhere. Very much less of that, so to speak. There's still a few of those, but I love what's going to happen here, Mario. I think we're going to start to see the potential for LAFC really to get playoff ready, and I know I put that in quotes, like really get into that rhythm where here we go, right? We're getting as many points as we can because the schedule does ease up a little. We're going to get rest. We're going to be on a regular routine, and now we're going to show what we got. And it starts with Portland here. I know it's a quick turnaround, but this is a big game for LAFC, Mario.
Yeah, and it feels good to be back at BMO Stadium in front of your own fans for sure, especially after the 2 losses. Portland's another Western Conference opponent, right?
Yeah.
So these are another huge points here on the line for both teams. Forget the 2-game skid. You turn the page. It's about building momentum, because you got to get ready for those road matches. 5 road matches out of the next 6 games coming up. So that's going to be a real challenge for LAFC right there.
Yeah, it makes this one even more important because it is that like home match before this really long stretch of many road games, 5 out of the next 6, as Mario said. Now, to be fair, I don't mean to put this on people or say they're winnable games still on the road. I mean, look, again, it's tough to win on the road. I get that. MLS is very much more parity driven, so on the road is tougher, but it's certainly like LAFC. It's not like they can't go on the road and beat these teams. DC, RSL, Sporting Kansas City on the road, San Jose, Dallas, all places LAFC have gone and won in the past. So yes, they're all on the road, 5 out of the next 6, as we said, but it's not like, oh, no, these are like against the best teams and we're struggling on the road. No, LAFC is a good road team, notwithstanding the Wednesday night game. Colorado is a bit of a tough place. We get that. But this is a team that can go out and get points, even on the road. But this game against Portland really sets that up, I think. You want to break this little losing streak, get back into the winning ways, and really build a little momentum going into this.
There's not that many opportunities to play at home left in the schedule. So you're in front of your home crowd. You got to take advantage of that. You need to stack points at home, So LAFC versus Portland, I think it's a good chance for LAFC to reset, first of all, and then start stacking points. So I don't think anybody in, black and gold is panicking for sure, but I do think there is a sense of urgency in this match, which is a good thing. You want every match to have that urgency, that sense of urgency. But this one, I think there is a pretty good sense of urgency. And I think the good teams in MLS, they bounce back when they find themselves in a little bit of a rut, then they're going to bounce back. So that's what LAFC is looking to do in this one right here.
You know what I love, though? I know the players are already looking at it. They probably have a while ago. On September 26th, you got a game in Dallas. Tough game. Last of those road games. So September 27th until November 3rd, you're going to be at home. September 27th through November 3rd, LAFC are going to be in their own beds. They got matches, but they're all at home in October. You're not going anywhere that whole month. So you got even a little bit of time around October, both in September and a little bit in November before you finish out on the road for 2 matches. That is a long stretch where you're going to get really ready. You're going to get really healthy, mentally, physically. You got to
recharged.
Yes, you got to be charging into those final 2 road games. Pretty cool tests in New York City, which is always fun, and then at Seattle, which is a good.
Have you seen the pictures of that pitch in New York City right now?
No, God,
there's like these awful spots.
They can't get to that new stadium soon enough. Oh my goodness.
They're hitting their cleat, the bottom of their cleats onto the pitch. It was rock solid. It was like knocking on a door.
That makes it bearable to even think about the way they play, in Yankee Stadium, or sometimes they're at Citi. The only thing that makes it bearable is, frankly, they've spent a boatload of money and are currently building a new building that's going to be amazing. So
that's going to be amazing. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you got to wait for that because it's construction takes a while, but like they finally got that done. It's going to be incredible. New York City FC will be a massive club once that stadium is, they will. They just flat out will. They're not yet because of where they play and how they play.
They need to be. Yeah.
That they will be because of that. It's the only thing that makes it even bearable, which, again, we can still complain about it because it's awful and Mario's exactly
There's players
right.
that can get hurt on that pitch. Yeah, so be careful out there, black and gold.
Yeah, definitely too. Portland, let's get back to that match. They're playing very well under new manager Marty Cifuentes. They did well against under Jack Cassidy, who was the interim manager after, of course, they split ways with Phil Neville earlier in the season. Timbers are 4-1-1 in MLS since that World Cup break. And they actually played well in the Leagues Cup as well. They had a tough loss against America, but won their other 2 matches pretty handily. So, there's no shame in losing to Club America, obviously. But winning the other 2, so they were close to getting out, although LAFC finished above them in the Leagues Cup table. But you win 2 out of 3. That's not bad for Portland by any means against Liga MX sides. And so they're getting a lot of confidence, Mario. I mean, in all competitions, they've won 6 out of the last 9. Just 2 losses in that time, including the Leagues Cup game to America. They're flying. Kevin Kelsey. Yeah. Rumors are swirling that Rangers are after him from Scotland with a pretty big, proposal in terms of a transfer fee now. Again, those are reports. Nothing's happened like that way. I'd imagine Portland probably want to hang on to Kevin Kelsey, Christoph Velda, David DaCosta, Cole Bass, and these are names that really are coming on. And they're coming on together, I think. That's been the key under both the interim manager, Cassidy, and now Marty Cifuentes. They're really starting to mesh and have fun, and they score goals for fun, this team. They do not care to play a 0-0. They're not interested in shutting you out. They're interested in beating you 5-3. This is how the team is built.
Why is it that when we talk about coming out of the World Cup break, every team that we look at, it seems like, oh, they're playing well out of the World Cup break. They're all MLS teams, and they're all coming out of the World Cup break playing well. But aren't they playing other MLS teams? What about the other MLS teams that are not playing well coming out of the World Cup break?
We're facing all the hot ones. That's a fair point, actually.
Yeah, it seems like it, right?
Yeah.
But talking about Kevin Kelsey, man, Kevin Kelsey, when I seen him a couple of times at BMO Stadium, every time I see him, I'm just like in shock of like how big, how strong this guy is, how fast he is, how physical he is. Kevin Kelsey, I mean, he is an amazing player, and I always keep my eye on him every time I see him because I could just see him using his body, his speed in every single match. And yeah, this team loves to score. They have the players to do it. So let's see. This is going to be a tough matchup, but probably an exciting back and forth match at BMO Stadium just because of the style of Portland Timbers.
One thing about the professional athletes that separates them, because so many of them are so close physically, right? It's confidence, right? It's confidence. Christoph Velda, I think if you put him on a lie detector, he would tell you he's better than Lionel Messi. That's how confident this player is, right? He's not, and we know that, and he knows it. But he would believe it in his head.
You got to love that in a player, though. You gotta love
he
that.
thinks he's the best player in the world, right? That adds to some of my sports hate to the Portland Timbers, which I call sports hate because if you're just joining us or if you don't know, it's not serious. It's sports, right? This is not real life. I mean, in terms of it's real life, but it's not. But I call it sports hate, and I sports hate the Portland Timbers right up there with the Pittsburgh Steelers as a Cleveland Browns fan all my life. So the Timbers are awful, but that's how they're so cocky like that. Like they believe that even when they've been bad, they thought they were great. Somehow, right? The Timbers just always think they're incredible, but now they're playing pretty well. So that makes them even more insufferable and yet harder to beat, certainly, because this team is
nobody sports hates more teams than you, Dave. You hate the Sounders, the Timbers, the Galaxy, San Diego now.
San Diego's on the list now. I got to be honest. And then, of course, Portland is right at the top with the Pittsburgh
Steelers.
But it's honestly. This is not going to shock anybody, but my love of the beautiful game, my love of soccer, has actually caused me to sports hate those other sports teams less and other sports. I don't care as much about other sports. I mean, it sounds cliche, but I don't care what the Cleveland Browns do as much anymore. I mean, for many reasons, honestly, but one of them is I love the world's game so much more. I care more about LAFC and soccer than I ever have for other, I still want my teams to do well in other sports, but it's not as important anymore I love the beautiful game, right? So that sports hate is kind of encapsulated. I'm right there with you.
After being sports fans our entire life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the Western Conference primarily, obviously, because we play them twice a year. You can't really develop too much of a sports hate for DC United. I mean, we don't, I know we're playing them in a few weeks or whatever, but you can't really get that fired up about hating the Orlando City SC because, you play them once every few years. But Western Conference, Portland Timbers, for sure. We've had some battles over the years, not only in MLS. Mario and I talk about it a lot. U.S. Open Cup games, we had some real rugged games there. We really developed a true sports hate for that and rivalry for this team. But they are good. You have to admit that. They're playing well, at least. And LAFC are going to have to be on their game. Mario, let's go around the rest of MLS here on LAFC Plus. Nashville, Mario, been amazing, right? They're well ahead of the beating up Inter Miami in their most recent match. They're well ahead in the Supporter Shield race. They're winning every game, it seems. I think they only have 2 losses all year. Yeah. But what it tells me, Mario, is I watch Nashville. And again, this is a team that beat us. So it's going to sound weird. But it feels like MLS Cup playoffs are just wide open, though, still, this year specifically. There's no one that I look at, even though LAFC maybe it's not been the best regular season right now with all the schedule congestion and everything, and where we are in the standings is not quite where we want to be. I feel like we're right there. Like, this is a wide open MLS Cup playoffs that are be coming up in November.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, especially in MLS. I think it pretty much always is like that. More than any other league around the world, MLS is like that, where not necessarily the best team or the team that's in first place or the team that wins Supporter Shield is going to win the MLS Cup.
Sure.
And this year, even more now, because you got teams like LAFC who are in third place right now, but probably have the most dangerous roster, and it's a matter of getting into the playoffs with good playoff positioning, because we know that home field is going to be a key in the playoffs. Now, if LAFC can get, towards the top of the Western Conference, they're one of the most dangerous teams in MLS, no matter where they are in the standings. And it's wide open once you get into the playoffs, because it's just knockout games.
Absolutely. After that first round, which, again, home and away or best of 3, frankly, but even the top seed has 2 out of those 3 at home. So generally speaking, it's hard to pull off the upset. So all the good teams seemingly advance, but then you're getting into even amongst the good teams, you have just one game, right? You might have the home field advantage, but it's, you have a bad night, your season's done, and that puts a lot of pressure on teams, no question. Mario, one other bit of news around MLS, Xavier Gozo, the really exciting young talent, 18 years old with RSL, kind of having a breakout year, no doubt. Seemingly came out of nowhere in terms of for RSL. Obviously, people have known about his talent coming up, but he's had a real good breakout year. And he transfers to Crystal Palace in the Premier League now. This is not the first player going to the Premier League rather than the Championship or some other, maybe a slightly lower level European league. This is going to the top league in the world. Crystal Palace pays, by all reports, $15 million for Gozo. Mario, do you know what? I checked on some sources. I think it was a New York Times or Athletic article that had listed the salaries of every team in MLS. Once that salary cap thing, or once the salary comes out from the players union, they have to, I think they legally have to, I could be wrong about that, but they release the salaries for each player. So journalists can add up what the salary standing is for each team, right? They sold Xavier Gozo for $15 million. That was the transfer fee. RSL's whole salary budget, according to this article, I think it was Athletic, New York Times article, Athletic, same thing, technically. Their whole budget for salary this year was $15.3 million.
Wow.
According to the article. So they sold a player who's 18 and paid their entire wage budget, which included Xavier Gozo, so he'll be off the books. So you might actually have made almost exactly the same in transferring him as your entire salary for the year for your team.
That's good business there. That's for RSL business right there.
But it also leads me to remind people, right? There's a few things that people have to be reminded of. RSL's a good team. Mm-hmm. They don't spend anywhere near what some of the teams do, but it's pretty low, right? Like, in other words, this is not a Liverpool salary, of course. And there's a huge gap there, and we know this, right? But you have to take that into consideration. And then when you're talking about, well, it's too bad they can't just keep a player like that. Why don't they sell him for more or keep him? You can't turn down $15 million for an 18-year-old when your entire payroll is $15 million. Liverpool can turn that down if they want, right? 15, it's nothing. They're paying $115 million for players. Arsenal, whatever. It's a different world, okay? When your payroll is $20 million and someone offers you $20 million for a young player, you have to sell. You have to do it.
Yeah, this is the entertainment business. First of all, the sports is entertainment business, so you can't turn that down when you hear about that 15 mil. And LAFC fans, they actually got a pretty good look of Gozo. I remember just watching him and saying, wow, he's passing the eye test for sure right away. He was at BMO Stadium against LAFC, and you could see, the excitement every time he touched the ball, like something pretty good was happening. So he's carrying that confidence with him over there. And you see, some of these young players, they don't always have that. He's not afraid to take.
Mario, he had a spectacular goal against
he
us.
did.
Even in a bad loss, really. We kind of dominated RSL that game and pretty much held Gozo in check, except for an unbelievable goal that there was nothing you could do.
He's so comfortable going at guys 1v1, which is an exciting thing. He likes to create, and he's got that mentality where he's just going to attack. So he's going to take that over to one of the biggest stages in the world, which is pretty good place to be at for Gozo. I can't wait to see what he does there.
Yeah, great stuff. That's going to be a lot of fun. It makes me more interested in watching Crystal Palace just for him.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Oh yeah.
I love
MLS
so much, and I love the players who are coming and going out of this league. That'll be fun. LAFC in Portland Saturday night. Airtime for the pregame coming up at 7 p.m. Pacific on 710 ESPN LA and the ESPN LA app. Kickoff at 7:40 Pacific time, so a little bit back to normal time there. Again, LAFC and Portland Timbers Saturday night from BMO Stadium. If you can't be there, it's going to be a wild game. We need it bad. It's going to be a fun game. Portland wants it and needs it bad. And you can listen to it on the radio or on the ESPN LA app. Mario, great stuff as always. Episode 108 of LAFC Plus, just about in the books. Really appreciate you all for watching and listening and wherever you get your podcasts. Where can they find you on social media, Mario?
On social media, you can find me at I am Mario Ruiz, at I am Mario Ruiz. I'm on X, I'm on IG, and I'm on TikTok as well with the same handle.
Yeah, X for me is at Talk Soccer. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to, comment, whatever, get a hold of us that way. Or on Instagram, Dave_Denholm, spelled like my name. Mario, get us out of here, man. Great show as always, buddy.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to BMO Stadium for this one. I think it's going to be an exciting match, like I was saying earlier, just because of the style that Portland has. Yeah. And like you were saying, both teams need these 3 points. So it's going to be a good one. If you don't get to BMO Stadium, make sure you catch us on 710 ESPN starting at 7 p.m. or on the ESPN LA app. Till then, we'll talk to you next time. This has been LAFC Plus. That's Dave Denholm. I'm Mario Ruiz. Peace.